August 1955, Money, Mississippi. A chance encounter with a 14-year-old black kid, Emmett Till, and one 21-year-old white woman, Carolyn Bryant. Little did people know back then that chance encounter between those two individuals would lead to a brutal murder of Emett Till, and it would also be the spark and the catalyst for a civil rights movement. Now, as many of you know, both the murderers of Emett Till have long been dead. But some of you out there may not know that woman who lied to the court about Emett Till putting his hands around her waist and whistling at her and lied on that boy's name. Little do you guys know that for the past 65 plus years, Carolyn Bryant has been living the best life that she could possibly live in Raleigh, North Carolina. As a matter of fact, she lives in this very neighborhood. August 24th, 1955, rural Mississippi, Money, Mississippi, to be exact. 14-year-old Emett Till, who was from Chicago, came down for the summer to visit his uncle and other relatives down in Mississippi. So on that day, August 24th, 1955, Emett Till, along with a cousin, I believe, and a family friend, had gone to a local grocery market to buy some bubble gum. This market was owned by 24-year-old Roy Bryant and his 21-year-old wife, Carolyn. Now, different stories say different things. Popular thought is that Emett Till whistled at Miss Bryant while he was in the store as a dare by his cousin. Other people telling the story say he went, "Ow!" something along that nature. Whatever it is, noise that he did, he somehow disrespected this woman. A childish joke resulted in this boy's murder. Now, back in those days, of course, interactions between blacks and whites were virtually non-existent, other than when business was being conducted. So whatever noise Emmett made as he and his friends ran out of the Bryant's grocery store was not taken too kindly by one Carolyn Bryant. A couple days later, Roy comes home and she tells him what happened. So we're going to go to August 28th, 1955, very, very early morning. A truck pulls up to Emmett's uncle's house. Everybody's asleep. It's around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. A knock on the door, bang, 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 bang. The uncle wakes up, goes to the door, and at the door are J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant. J.W. is Roy's brother-in-law. They ask for Emett Till. J.W. has a gun, pulls it out on the uncle, and says, "Bring us the boy. He made a pass at my wife, and he was very disrespectful." Emett Till at the time was sleeping, just came out. He was still bleary-eyed, wondering what was going on. J.W. and Roy took Emmett. They brought him to the truck, and in that truck, to make sure that they had the right person, was one Carolyn Bryant. "Yeah," she said, "that's him." And they took off with Emmett into the night. For the next few hours going into that morning of August 28, 1955, Emett Till was absolutely tortured. They knocked out his teeth. They ripped off one of his ears, punched him all in the face, kicking him, anything that you can think of, they did to him. And then finally, when his body couldn't take any more, a gun was pulled out and a round was fired into the side of Emmett Till's head. Eventually, Emmett Till's body was discovered later on that week in a marshy swamp. And by that time, his body was absolutely unrecognizable. In this very neighborhood, in one of these houses that I'm not going to point out, Carolyn Bryant lived and raised her kids along with her next husband after she divorced Roy Bryant. Later on, September 1955, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam were charged with the murder of Emmett Till, but of course, the trial went forward and an all-white jury found Roy and J.W. not guilty of the murder of Emett Till. Now, Carolyn Bryant was not charged with any crime. She did take the stand in the defense of her husband. However, the jury was not inclined to listen to it, as the presiding judge felt that her testimony had no bearing on the murder of Emett Till. An all-white jury in a racist area of the country, in only 1 hour of deliberation, found both Roy and J.W. Milam not guilty. Many of you out there might feel that after everything was said and done, that J.W. and Roy somehow rode off into the sunset to lead normal and productive lives. Well, that is not the case. J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant were absolutely vilified in the local newspapers all over the country. Some of their own friends disowned them, didn't want anything to do with them anymore. J.W. went on to rent several hundred acres trying to farm the land. However, no black person in the whole area would not work for him. He ended up having to hire white farmers to farm his land. And of course, you had to pay white people more money for them to work those kinds of jobs back then. And he couldn't make any kind of a living. He basically died broke and penniless. He died of cancer on December 31st of 1980. Roy Bryant had the nerve to try to get a job as a police officer. Of course, they basically looked at him and laughed. He was not able to make a living, so he went to school to learn how to weld. And of course, karma is a dessert best served cold. He ended up going legally blind due to his job as a welder, where you have to wear those special safety goggles when you're welding. And apparently years of doing that and accidentally looking at the flame as you're welding can cause your retinas burn up. And he died legally blind, died of cancer on September 1st, 1994. Roy and Carolyn ended up getting a divorce shortly after the trial ended. And back that neighborhood where I showed you, in one of those houses, she bought and she owned with one of her husbands. She got married twice after she left Mississippi. And we're gonna take one more stop. Let's talk a little bit further about what she's done with her life. By the way, I forgot to mention that right after the trial took place in January of 1956, J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant were paid $3,000 by Look magazine, which was a very well-known newspaper publication back in the day. They were paid for an interview, and in the interview, they confessed to the murder of Emett Till. Now, you're probably wondering why they were able to confess to the crime of Emmett Till's murder without facing any legal ramifications? Well, that's because the murder trial that took place was a double jeopardy trial, meaning that the prosecutor in that case would be legally unable to try them a second time if they were found not guilty. So now one must ask himself, what does a former beauty queen who grew up the daughter of a nurse and a plantation manager in segregationist Mississippi, what does one Carolyn Bryant do with her life? Well, absolutely nothing. I've tried to look her up as much as I could to see if she had possibly gone to school, or maybe she got a job, maybe she started a business. Nothing. This lady has lived a life being a recluse ever since that trial and that murder took place. Like I said previous, she had been married twice more, and now all her husbands are dead. She outlived all of them, and one of her kids died, I believe, a few years ago, at least maybe 10 years ago. In 2007, a man was writing a book. It was a book about Emett Till. It was called The Blood of Emett Till. And in 2007, he somehow tracked this woman down for an interview, and she actually accepted the interview. Now, I can't say verbatim what was said in the interview, but she basically said that what she said about Emett Till, about him grabbing her waist, bringing her to him, and saying vulgar obscenities, was all a lie. It was an absolute lie. He never did that. She also said in the interview, and I found this quite disgusting, how when one of her sons died, she somehow felt the pain that Mamie Till Mobley, Emett Till's mom, felt when her own child died. Now, how the hell do you have the audacity to say such nonsense when you are not only responsible for that boy's murder, but you and those two scumbags should have all gone to prison for the rest of your pathetic little lives? Well, later on, Carolyn Bryant went on to write her memoirs about her life, about what really happened in the market that her and her former husband used to own on August 24th, 1955. Well, currently those memoirs are under lock and key at the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill Library in its archives. So, for quite a few number of years now, Carolyn Bryant Donham has lived a life of opulence and luxury at a high-rise condo tower apartment. $1,400 a month for a one-bedroom. Now, I'm not going to say which one it is, because there's many high-rise apartment condo towers in the area. I mean, which one could it possibly be? I have no idea. But it is a condo tower that is only for, senior citizens. And, they have lots of great amenities. They got a pool, jacuzzi, a sauna. They pick you up and take you to the store. They do all kinds of things in this place, wherever it's at. I have no idea. But wherever this place is that she used to live, I believe she no longer lives there. I mean, after all, this place, wherever this place is, it's quite expensive. So the last thing I read up online is that either she possibly moved to a more or least expensive apartment in the same building, or she is possibly in an old folks home now. She, at the time of the recording of this video, she is 88 years old, has granted no more interviews, and has never taken responsibility for her actions back in the summer, August 1955. Has done absolutely nothing with her life at all whatsoever, except hide from society. It is an absolute shame how this woman has not spent but one day in jail for that crime that her scumbag husband and J.W. Milan committed. Neither here nor there. At the end of the day, there is but one higher authority than all on planet Earth, and she will have to answer to him. I'm not saying she deserves public humiliation or needs to be mocked or harassed or what have you, but in my personal opinion, what goes around comes around at the end of the day. Oh, and by the way, those memoirs that she wrote about her life, about what really happened, yeah, well, they're not going to get released until 2036. And I'm assuming by then she will no longer be on this earth. And if she is, she will be about 103, 104 years old. Damn shame. But anyways, live but not live, but still alive by the grace of God. I'm Lamont at large. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.